Viewers, the Supreme Court has delivered one of its clearest, bluntest messages yet on illegal infiltration. In the Rohingya deportation case, a Chief Justice of India-led bench has made it unambiguous. India is not obliged to roll out a red carpet for those who enter the country by tunneling under fences or slipping past border patrols. If you cross illegally, you cannot then demand shelter, schooling, food and rights reserved for citizens. National security, the court said, cannot be compromised by emotional blackmail or moral posturing. Here are the exact words now, viewers, of the Chief Justice of India-led bench. It said, and I quote, "First you enter, you cross the border illegally, you dig a tunnel or cross the fence and entered India illegally. Then you say, now that I've entered, your laws must apply to me, and say, I'm entitled to food, I'm entitled to shelter, my children are entitled to education. If they do not have legal status to stay in India and you are an intruder, we have a very sensitive border on the North India side. If an intruder comes, do we give them a red carpet welcome saying we would like to give you all facilities? What is the problem in sending them back, unquote? But this clarity, viewers, this clarity has triggered a political storm. Even before the ink dried on the observations, the opposition erupted outside Parliament and on social media accusing the judiciary of, quote, grandstanding, unquote, of chasing TRPs, even of aiding the government's so-called anti-infiltration agenda. Sample this. This is TMC Member of Parliament, viewers. Earlier, judges were seen talking less, were seen talking only when delivering judgments. But now the trend has changed. Nowadays, judges talk more to increase TRPs, but they don't deliver judgments. This is the biggest problem today, unquote. The same opposition, viewers, that has for years attacked every single attempt to document, detect or deport illegal entrants, whether NRC, NPR, SIR or FCRA-linked crackdowns on NGOs receiving illegal foreign funds to aid illegal migrant networks. Viewers, don't forget that this opposition has termed the SIR a backdoor NRC and moved petitions in the Supreme Court to block the Election Commission mandated exercise. Now, viewers, it's almost as if they believe that illegals must have a right to vote in this country. If all the illegals were given a right to vote in this country, if non-citizens were given a right to vote in this country, viewers, what about citizens and their franchise? It will cease to make a difference to anybody. The governments, the MPs, the MLAs will not be working for you. They'll be working for illegals. Viewers, this is the same opposition that claimed that the nationwide NRC or NPR, National Population Register, places heavy burden of documentation on individuals and is a weapon to victimize the poor, unquote. Viewers, you come into our country and the state is then expected to prove that you're illegal. Bizarre. Have you ever heard this? If you go tomorrow, I'm not trying to be facetious, security man at the gate tells you that you can't enter if you don't have your license or an identification. Will you say, no, proof that I'm not an Indian citizen? The onus is on you. It should be on you. Viewers, the opposition opposed the FCRA amendments and cracked down on NGOs tracking funding to NGOs tracking illegal immigrants. Opposition criticizes detention centers and foreign tribunals as asylum is cruel, arbitrary and inhumane. Viewers, where are you supposed to keep those that have been identified as illegals pending deportation? And this is the same opposition, viewers, same opposition that had such a big problem when drives to identify illegal immigrants in this country were undertaken. Were undertaken where, viewers? In the heart of the capital. They said this is cruel. I'm not even talking about the Mufassils. Why does a firm stance on national security irritate the opposition? Is the political class shielding infiltrators? And why does a Supreme Court warning become a battlefield for partisan outrage? Fundamental question, let's open them up. Viewers, I'm not going to waste too much time setting up this debate. I think we all understand where everyone is coming from. Let me begin with Nikhil Jain, a political analyst. I'll also have with us TMC supporter Anirban Banerjee very soon. But Nikhil Jain, I want you to explain to me, what is the issue? The opposition reflexively has a problem anytime the state wants to identify those that don't belong to it. And now, of course, you've taken it to the point where you are accusing the Supreme Court of playing to the TRP galleries. I mean, is India some sort of dharamshala?
Rahul, India certainly is not a dharamshala. Of course, we do have the philosophy of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam that the world is our home, but that's all right. I think the BJP doesn't want to, believe in the traditional Hindu philosophy and the traditional Indian philosophy. Be that as it may, we are a country that is governed by rule of law. There are rules and laws and guidelines for everything, whether it is deportation of an illegal immigrant, whether it is giving refuge to a refugee, whether it is treating how we treat our citizens, whether it is rules and laws that are applicable to non-citizens. Now, if a petitioner is going to court and asking that anybody who's deported should be deported by a process of law, I really do not understand what problem the BJP or anybody can have in it. Because at the end of the day, we are in a country where Article 14 of the Constitution, equality before law, does not just apply to citizens, it applies to every single human being. I'm not saying give them the right to vote. That'll be very stupid of me to say, or anybody to say that illegal immigrants should have the right to vote. But they are human beings. We are bound by international conventions. You cannot treat any person who is fleeing into this country for economic or religious or whatever persecution or other reasons. You can't treat them like termites. They are human beings. You can very well deport them out of the country, but it has to follow the process of law. And no opposition party, to the best of my recollection, has ever asked for illegal immigrants to be given the right to vote. And lastly, when opposition parties raise their voice against the government's campaigns to weed out these illegal immigrants, their target is not the fact that the government is trying to remove illegal immigrants. It is the fact that you are trying to remove or cause problems for genuine Indian bona fide citizens. And there have been numerous cases where Indian citizens have been deported to Pakistan or Bangladesh, and then the courts had to step in and tell the government to bring them back. So that is what the issue is.
Okay, viewers, this is amazing. Look at the amnesia that Nikhil Jain and company suffer from. Just recently, viewers, during the Jharkhand elections, the great chief of the Congress party there said that no, we are going to be giving LPG cylinders to Rohingyas and illegals. These were his exact words. In fact, it was a promise that was made. And viewers, then there was another situation where a particular government in Delhi decided to give education to the children of Rohingyas and illegal infiltrators and so on and so forth. At whose expense, viewers? बच्चों के लिए स्कूल जो हिंदुस्तानी बच्चे हैं, उनके लिए तो स्कूल हम खोल नहीं सकते. We couldn't open a single new school. You got an article written in some foreign yellow paper about how great the education system was under you. But when it came to opening schools, you couldn't open them for Indian citizens. But here you were wanting to give seats away from your quota of government schools to illegal immigrants. As if viewers, they were some state guests of yours, that they were contributing meaningfully to the exchequer. I want, first of all, viewers, to get a political response to Nikhil Jain. And Sanju Verma, the national spokesperson of the BJP, will take on Nikhil Jain on the points that he made, that you people treat illegals as termites, as subhumans. You have subhumanized them to the point, or dehumanized them to the point where people and the state and everybody is treating them worse than animals. That's why they are protesting. And that's why they've got a problem against what the Supreme Court is saying.
Rahul, first and foremost, let's get one thing very clear. Point number one, India is not a signatory to the Refugee Convention of 1951. Point number two, India is not a signatory to the Refugee International Protocol of 1967, and hence we are not bound to house Rohingyas even if they are termed as refugees. And I'll tell you what, the 1951 Convention defines refugees as individuals who are deprived of their civil, political, but not economic rights. And India believes that this definition is too narrow as it excludes those who have fled their countries due to economic deprivation or lack of livelihood opportunities. And hence we refuse to sign the 1951 Convention. But I want to focus on the more important thing without getting into rhetoric. Nikhil Jain kept speaking about Article 14, 15, right to equality, blah, blah, blah. Let's not live in la la land. Right to equality under Article 14 and 15 talks about no discrimination on the basis of caste, creed, gender, or religion, but it applies to only bona fide Indian citizens. Indian constitution is not applicable to any Tom, Dick, or Harry who infiltrates. Point number 4. Point number 5, let me say this. What we are guided by and what the Supreme Court has quoted often, and I'll say this very quickly, Registration of Foreigners Act 1939. This means that any foreign national, an illegal immigrant or a legal migrant, he or she must register themselves with a registration officer within 14 days of arriving in the country to be eligible for even basic rights. And the Foreigners Act of 1946 gives the central government suo motu powers under Section 3 to detect, detain and deport illegal immigrants or foreign nationals. And this is the Foreigners Act of 1946, which Home Minister Amit Shah often quotes when he's asked, why do you use the term detect, deport, delete? And then finally, we have the Passport Act of 1920, Section 5, and Passport Act of 1967, which clearly states that it is the preserve and the prerogative of the central government to determine whether or not a foreign national, migrant or otherwise illegal or otherwise will be staying in India beyond 14 days. Final point. Article 258, 1 of the Constitution is the relevant article, which states, notwithstanding anything in this Constitution, the President may, with the consent of the governor of a state, entrust either conditionally or unconditionally to the government or its officers function in relation to any matter to which the executive power of the union extends, including migrants and illegal migrants.
Okay.
Rahul, can I get 5 seconds? 5 seconds only.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Article 14 and Article 19 Article 14 and Article 21 apply to non-citizens. Judgments Podesta's LDR versus Union of India, 1991, 3 SEC 554. Hans Muller of Nuremberg versus Union of India, 1955. Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India, 1978. That is a general settled principle in law. You can ask any lawyer. 14 and 21 apply to non-citizens as well. 19 does not apply to non-citizens. That's it.
Viewers, obviously the state will guarantee people who have come legally on a visa, etc., some rights. Dr. Ranganathan, in our country, we're not a banana republic. If you apply and come for a work visa, for example, to India, it doesn't mean that you can be beaten, flogged on the streets, thrown around, bashed around, abused, etc. Obviously, the state will guarantee you certain protections. I mean, what are we talking about? It's a non sequitur. I'm asking you, this gentleman has come out and said, Nikhil, that you see, we believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Of course, this government doesn't, by any stretch of the imagination, according to him, uphold this tenet. Therefore, let's open our doors.
Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists. No, I think the time has come for us to be honest about the way the Indian state conducts itself. I think the time has come for the state to take away a Hindu citizenship. I think that will be the right thing to do. As it is, we are being constitutionally, legally, socially, educationally discriminated against. So why keep up with this pretense that we are equal citizens in this country? We can't approach the courts to reclaim our temples. Our temples are under government control. We are refugees in our own land. Our schools are forced to provide reservations. Our mass murderers are being felicitated and celebrated. Our festivals and way of life is being regulated and adjudicated upon. So why keep this pretense? Garv se kaho, हमारे तुम्हारे साथ discriminate करना चाहते हैं. And as far as Rohingyas are concerned, I have no objections to legal refugees being provided basic facilities for a limited period. But how has it come now to providing those facilities to even illegal Rohingyas, given that much of those facilities can't even be provided to ordinary Indians, given that demographic change is not just a ticking time bomb, it is now a hissing time bomb that can explode any time with devastating consequences. In 2023, police in Haryana arrested as many as 25 Rohingyas for a violent mob attack in Nu on Hindu pilgrims. UN refugee card was found on all of them. There were riots in India back in 2012 to get the Rohingyas here. 10 years later, the Rohingyas are rioting here. Besides, Rahul, number of Rohingya refugees currently living in USA, 5,000, Europe, 3,000, Jordan, 1,300, Indonesia, 1,200, Canada, 1,100, Japan, 560, Qatar, 20, India, 40,000. Qatar, an Islamic republic, has taken 20 Rohingyas. Jordan, Indonesia, other Muslim nations, 1,000 each, and India, 40,000. But hey, Modi is anti-Muslim, India is a fascist Hindutva nation, and remember how Indian Muslims united and indulged in Azad Maidan protests and riots to force the Indian government to take in Muslim Rohingya refugees from Myanmar? Well, it resulted in us ultimately taking in 40,000 Rohingya Muslim refugees. It is another matter that no one Muslim Indian has actually ever united to force the Indian government to settle 7 lakh Kashmiri Hindus who were driven out from their own homes. Anyhow, all Hindus remember Azad Maidan, but do we remember Khamong Sheikh? We don't. I'll tell you what Khamong Sheikh is. It is a place in Myanmar where Muslim Rohingyas murdered more than 100 Hindus and their families mercilessly, raped, pillaged, even buried some alive. Many among those Rohingya Muslims who committed this atrocity might even right now be in India as refugees. But as I said, no Hindu ever came to talk about Khamong Sheikh. Just 30 seconds. All we do is get jealous of Indian Muslims uniting for Rohingya Muslims, Palestinian Muslims. Rahul, if you are jealous of someone else's unity, it means you are divided. And I ask you, what kind of country is this where Kashmiri Hindus are forced to refuge in their own land, where one can settle 40,000 Rohingya Muslims in India, 6,000 in Jammu and Kashmir, but not 7 lakh Kashmiri Hindus in Jammu and Kashmir, the land's original inhabitants? Enough. Every Indian refugee must be rehabilitated and every illegal Rohingya refugee must be deported. And if not, then I propose amnesties for illegal Rohingyas be funded through salaries of our Supreme Court judges.
Well, viewers, remember that these people constantly tell us that India is a Hindu Pakistan, where Muslims are discriminated against. But they build an argument all the time for bringing Muslims from all parts of the world to this country. That we must open our doors to Rohingya Muslims that the state itself has designated. And I'm not just talking about this government, viewers. There are other state governments and their police that have designated them under opposition governments and parties that have designated them as threat to security, national security. Anyhow, let me bring in Shabnam De of the TMC. Shabnam De, I'll come to you, Nikhil Jain, 1 minute. Shabnam De, I want to ask you a fundamental question. Why would the TMC slander the Chief Justice and say that he was playing to the TRP galleries? That is what one of your members of parliament has said, when all he has done is to take a firm stance and say that we cannot be rolling out the red carpet for illegal immigrants into this country. What is the problem?
Good evening, Mr. Srivastava and my fellow panelists, for inviting me this debate by your channel. That what senior advocate Mr. Kullan Banerjee has reiterated, it is the statement of the judgments which has been observed by the jurists of the apex court. Now, justice has to be very pronounced in the judgments by implicating by applying their minds and phenomenal situation
what are you
which
saying?
is prevalent.
Can you be a little more lucid? I'm sorry. What is your point?
First of all, you are Rahul Srivastava.
I'm coming to that point.
I'm used to that.
Point.
That's why I changed my name from Siva Shankar to Shiv Shankar, because on the first syllable, people in the north and other parts of this country used to stumble. So I said, forget Siva Shankar. This happened in school itself, Dr. Ranganathan. So I said, let me make it Shiv Shankar. People in the north will have no problem. So I don't blame Ms. De. That's a given.
I'm sorry.
But that's okay. Ms. De, I just want to ask you a question. The TMC has a problem with the Chief Justice. Can you answer this question squarely?
No.
I think you're fumbling for words because you don't know what to say tonight.
Not fumbling. I'm coming to the point.
When?
What the Honorable Justice, what they are now trying to determine, that is their only one-sided opinion. That is the judgment. But,
No, but
you have
judgment
to see,
would be
is a
one-sided. I mean,
democracy.
it can't make everybody happy.
Not
What are you
happy.
saying, ma'am?
I'm talking about it should be a very balanced judgment, that you should know that it is a democratic country and Balkis constitution which we are
Yeah, but the
following.
Constitution applies.
And-
Ma'am, one second. Do you know what the preamble says? The first 3 or 4 words of... One second, sir. Do you know what the preamble says? The first 3 or 4 words of the preamble. Can you tell me what they are?
See, we the people of India.
Yes, so it doesn't apply to we the people of Arakan Yoma province in Burma, or we the people of Afghanistan, or we the people of Tajikistan, or we the people of Syria, and we the people of so-and-so, or Pakistan. It applies to we the people of India. So the Constitution and its laws are extended to those who have legally...
Make me let my statement that what senior advocate is urging on that this is now the philosophy of the judiciary, also of the apex court, that to declare that India is a Hindu state. But India
What are you talking
is...
about, ma'am?
Yes, it is in that way.
So
the
by
judgment
not
has
rolling
been
out
pronounced.
by rolling out the red carpet, just 1 minute, look at the direction of this, viewers. Look at the focus of this lady's argument. It is aimed straight at Muslim vote bank in Bengal. She's saying that if you do not roll out the red carpet for Rohingyas, you are a Hindu state.
Rohingya
You are a
who
Hindu
has
state.
Can I come in?
Chief Shankar, you have to understand who has brought these Rohingyas. Rohingya didn't come to West Bengal. They had to come by air, by water, not by because they are not the
Okay.
neighboring country.
One second, Miss Day.
Neighboring country.
No, 1 second.
Manipur,
Miss Day,
they
let
are
me
the
just cut
neighboring
through all
country.
of this confusion and this sort of diversionary tactics that you're employing. Okay, 1 second. Dr. Ranganathan wants to come in. He raised his finger first.
Shut their eyes.
Yes, okay. Miss Day, 1 second.
I'm
Now, calm down.
I'm
Yes.
just astonished by Ms. Day's logic, because by that logic, Qatar is a Hindu Rashtra because it has admitted only 20 Rohingyas, and we are an Islamic Republic because we have admitted 40,000. What kind
You
of
are
logic is this?
exaggerating, sir.
No,
You are
Ms. Day, I do not
exaggerating.
interrupt.
You're not
you.
exaggerating, ma'am. These are exactly your words.
You have
can I
to
quickly come in?
follow the democracy over here.
Democracy applies to... Ma'am, please. It doesn't apply to illegal citizens, even in America, even in Europe, anywhere.
Illegal
And that is
citizens
why-
why the Home Minister was shutting his eyes when illegal immigrants are
Ma'am, why don't you
penetrating
give the land?
borders?
Why don't you sanction? Land is a state subject. Give the
What
land so where we
sanction
can
land?
make...
We have already- we have
No, excuse
already got
me.
the land
Requisition
which
the
is under
land,
the-
requisition the land and then parcel it out to the center so they can build the fencing. There's a lot of part
the
of the
fencing.
border that has been fenced. So
we
please,
had a dialogue
1
with
second.
the central government.
Okay.
Our-
Sanju Verma. Now
our
the
TMC
goalpost.
Supremo had a dialogue
Now the
with
fence has
Supremo.
1 second. Now the
Supremo
fence has shifted
had
to
a
the
dialogue with
HM,
the central
who's allowing
government,
these people
Home
in.
Minister,
So
but
he's
they
to
have
blame.
never-
Okay,
Because
Miss Day,
I
let's
want
not get.
to
Let's
come
not.
in Bengal through
Miss
HM,
Day, Rahul,
through
you'll have to give me
judiciary.
time.
Miss
She
Day,
made zero
Miss Day,
sense.
calm down. Let the other
Now
side
you also
respond.
give me time.
But I've given you the
Now,
time. You
you
made
have to
3
give me
points.
time.
1 minute. Miss Verma. Respond to
Thank
Miss
you.
Day.
You have to
Yes.
also give me time.
Madam, please keep quiet. Nobody interrupted you. Why are you going on talking? Wait for your turn. Rahul, do you remember a few months back, there's a man called Firhad Hakim. He's been Kolkata's mayor for the longest serving time, and for the longest serving time, a cabinet minister under the Mamata Banerjee government, her closest confidant. At a public rally, he said that today, the population of Muslims in West Bengal is 33%. And Hindus has dropped dramatically. He's saying just wait till the time we become 45-50%. I want your audience to learn this, that 20-25 years back, the Muslim population in West Bengal was barely 1.2 crore. As per Mr. Hakim, now it is 3.3 crore, which means in barely 20-25 odd years, there's been a 175% jump in the Muslim population in Bengal. Now, a 175% jump could not have been organic, which means Rohingyas have been allowed, Ghuspetias have been allowed, Bangladeshis have been allowed. And for everyone who asked questions of Amit Shah, let me say there were two MHA advisories. One in 2018, one in 2022, issued by the Union Home Minister to all states, including Bengal, saying, please identify illegal migrants. What was Mamata Banerjee doing? Snoozing at the wheel? Did you follow or comply with the 2018 MHA advisory? No. Did you comply with the 2022 MHA advisory? No. In fact, when the Modi government enhanced the jurisdiction of the border security force by 50 kilometers to rein in infiltrators, Mamata Banerjee said, why should BSF be given more powers? हम तो BSF के खिलाफ भी झंडा और नारेबाजी करेंगे, झंडा उठाएंगे.
Yes, that even applied to Punjab and another sensitive border area. Anyhow, viewers, look, the fact of the matter is, I think we all know where the opposition is coming from on this issue. They are putting vote bank interest above national interest here. There is no doubt about it. That's why they have a problem on a very common sense issue such as this. I want to move on, viewers, because we're going to discuss